The stretch run of the fantasy hockey season is upon us, and it's time to get very, very serious on Monday's episode. Lot to get to. Thank you for joining us. Let's get this money.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are back, baby. It is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, Monday edition. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Steele is back in the booth. The Vegas flu, he's back, baby, full health, and just in time because I need my co-host because this next 2-week stretch is going to make and break a lot of fantasy GMs out there. And with all the injuries over the weekend, all the news, we have to get serious. It's Waiver-Wire Monday, people, and we're going to break it all down on today's episode. We're going to get to big-time bet steal, but we have 3 big-time injuries off the top. We want to talk a little bit about this delicious Saturday night game between the Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs and a little bit of everything in between. So let's get right to it, my friend. I'm glad to have you back. Good to hear you're feeling better. I know a lot of people out there have been missing Steele. He's back in a big way. But what a perfect way to bring you back to talk about a team that you watch a lot, you're very close to. Hit me with your take. We weren't able to talk about Kaprizov because it happened Friday after recording. What is your take? 3 to 4 weeks for Kaprizov. This is tough for GMs and it's tough for the Wild. What are you thinking? What is the impact for this injury?
Well, I think it's the worst time in the season right now, both for the Minnesota Wild and for fantasy owners out there who have Kiril Kaprizov, for him to go out with this type of injury. It didn't look all serious at the time, but obviously when you have a guy of Logan Stanley's stature, like 6'5", 250
Good
pounds,
point.
all weight just falling on you, you don't have enough bearings to hold that weight up. Yeah, you're going to get a little injured. So 3 to 4 weeks, he'll be back at the end of the season, probably get the last 5-6 games in before the postseason comes around the corner. So at least he'll get a little bit of action before the playoffs. But it's obviously tough to lose your superstar player for the Minnesota Wild. Again, like I've been looking at the remaining schedules for all the teams, who has the hardest, who has the least hardest. They have the 19th hardest schedule moving forward for the remaining schedule of the season. But it might look like the 19th hardest. It probably feels like the number 1 hardest schedule without their superstar Kaprizov.
Right.
Like they've been playing great hockey. They're 8-0-2 in their last 10 games. That being said, they've played Columbus twice. They've played Vancouver. They've played San Jose. They played Calgary. They've played a lot of those lower tier teams. Nonetheless, they're without their superstar now. So it doesn't matter who they're going up with. We know that they've struggled to score goals. It usually comes from that top line in Kiril Kaprizov on the power play or 5-on-5 otherwise. So tough to lose the superstar. Fantasy playoffs are right around the corner as well.
Yes.
So if you've got Kiril Kaprizov, he's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. It doesn't even matter if he's on the IR. If you're able to stash him, you can make it all the way to the championship. That's great. But he's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, and playoffs, I'm pretty sure, start next week.
And that's one of those interesting wrinkles here, Steele, is do you just straight up replace him? It all depends on the format of your league. Is there IR slots? Do you have other players that you were maybe banking on coming back? Landeskog. This is an interesting wrinkle for a lot of fantasy GMs out there. And I think really the main takeaway here is his 39 goals and 74 points are not going to be replaced by whoever you have stashed or whoever that you're trying to do. We got a couple of options on the waiver wire this week that, it might stop the bleeding a little bit, but Kaprizov is just one of the best players in the NHL and 39 goals this season already. It's just how key he is to that Minnesota Wild success. Obviously, their biggest player, most dangerous offensive piece. And when they were just really starting to close in on the Dallas Stars, 2 points back in that division.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel, Steele, this is just another huge. The Stars, we say something bad about the Stars. They drop a 10-piece, and then they go on a heater. And now Kaprizov is out. Things are looking real rosy for the Dallas Stars in that top spot all of a sudden. Maybe that's what we get for talking smack. But realistically, the main takeaway here is these injuries now, we're going to talk about Morrissey. We're going to talk about Stamkos in a hot minute. It's going to be your ability to do what you can to fill in that hole. That's it. Can you do it? Can you make the most of the situation? Because here we go, Steele. Josh Morrissey now skating back on a play, looking real uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're speculating he's going to be reevaluated today. 67 points from this blue liner. This is just another hole GMs might have to fill, but I don't know if you saw the play. The man looks injured to me, and I'm no doctor, but he looks hurt.
Yeah, there's just no possible way Josh Morrissey is able to miss extended period of time, because if he does, I think the Winnipeg Jets season is out the window. It's over for them, and they were just able to squeak out a win against the Florida Panthers in overtime from Mark Scheifele. So a big 2 points for the Winnipeg Jets, but they can't lose their best defenseman on the blue line, Josh Morrissey. 67 points in 66 games. He's almost doubled his previous career high in this season alone. So it's unreal what Josh Morrissey has been able to do. But the Winnipeg Jets have been awful. 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. It's probably the worst time for them to go on this type of losing streak, and it doesn't get any easier. Tampa Bay yesterday. They've got Carolina, Boston, Nashville lined up this upcoming week. So with how bad they're struggling, they cannot afford to lose a guy of Josh Morrissey's capabilities, especially offensively, at how well he's done jumping in on the power play and off the rush.
I think realistically, those are the 2 points where he's made the most impact, Steele. So great points. See, this is why I miss you, my friend. Thank you for being back. And speaking of which, since Steele is back, show the man some love. We're almost at that 800 subscriber mark. Smash that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. We've been seeing all the reviews out there, people. We hear you. We're getting more guests lined up. We're getting serious about fantasy hockey playoffs. So keep it tapped right here. And Steele, the regular NHL playoffs corner, and Steven Stamkos has been one of the main reasons that this Tampa Bay Lightning team has been so clutch over the last couple of years. And 27 goals, 39 assists this season. This injury, I don't know if you saw this one. This is the one that I'm a little bit more concerned about if I'm Steven Stamkos GMs. It didn't look good. The way he got up, his leg almost buckled underneath him, gets tangled up on the boards, I believe, with Joey Anderson of the Chicago Blackhawks. And he got up and he holds his leg. That one doesn't look good either, Steele. What do you think about this, though? Because the Tampa Bay Lightning also have had their struggles of late.
Yeah, this one I did see. I was watching the game last night, the other night, and at first glance, it didn't look that bad. It just looked like his leg kind of gave out and it just went down towards the ice. It didn't look like it bent or shifted in any way non-desirable or where it shouldn't go. So it didn't look bad at first glance, but obviously with everything that Steven Stamkos has been through, the amount of leg injuries that we've seen him go through and miss significant amount of time, even, a couple of years ago against the Dallas Stars, he comes back for one game, scores, and then he's out for the remainder of the series. So we've seen the struggles and the injuries that Steven Stamkos has had to deal with. And it's obviously not a good sight to see. Again, we're both not doctors. We don't know what the significant injury is here. It didn't look horrible to me, but again, we got to come out. We got to wait and see what the doctors have to say about it, because at first glance, it didn't look bad to me, but you never know what exactly might have popped or locked or whatever. You are right, though. When he got up, he started to extend his leg drastically, like he was trying to pop something back into place. So it definitely is scary to see Steven Stamkos go down. And I've got Steven Stamkos on my team, so I'm always looking at the news and wondering what's going on with Steven Stamkos now.
He's just also such a gamer, Steele. And, you don't even need to be a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning to be a fan of this guy's 15-year NHL career. How about almost 1,100 points in 988 career games? And he has just been, I know he's had some injury troubles, but they've been all very serious in nature for the most part. Otherwise, this guy has been durable. So I just can't help but feel that if you look at overall what they've been doing, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're really going to need Steven Stamkos at full health, at full capacity. So let's see what happens there. Wi-Fi is a little bit all over on today's episode. Bear with us if it's a little clicky. I've been trying to figure out my setup. We'll get there. We're going to get to this quick discussion on the Saturday slobber knocker between the Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. We got when Matthews and McDavid go toe-to-toe. We got to talk about it, Steele. And we're going to get to big-time bets. And, of course, one of the last waiver wire Mondays of the fantasy season. But we also got to talk about our friends at Athletic Greens and AG1, because today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens and AG1. It's a product that Steele and I use literally every single day, and we started taking it because Steele hates pills. I like feeling a little more refreshed in the morning and focused. It helps you with all of those things. It is a lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. That's number one. And number two, why I love it the most, less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, and it still tastes good. It supports your sleep quality. It helps you recover from injuries. It helps you with mental clarity, and it uses the best of the best products and the latest science with constant product iteration and third-party testing. I know that gets you fired up, Steele, and it costs less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews, and right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look after your health. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So hit the sub, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love, all the support. I feel like we've been 5 subs away from 800 for the last month. We're so close to 800 subscribers on YouTube. So make sure you hit the sub button.
It could be all these audio issues on my end. So again, my bad. And also, I got to get off my chest. Last week I did an episode, Steele, without you. I don't know if you noticed. Man's had the ease of schedule list upside down. So thanks for riding with your boy. This is why I need Steele with me here to check me. Thank you for all of y'all in the comments and for hanging with us. The audio isn't always on point, but we're getting there. And thank you for the support, like Steele said, for real, for real.
We all appreciate you, Flip, holding me down all last week while I was away in Vegas. Couldn't miss that John Jones fight. It was absolutely spectacular.
I bet.
But also what we couldn't miss, Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night hockey. We're obviously going to get to big-time bets at the end of the episode. Of course, waiver wire targets. But we got to talk about the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs whenever they match up. And what a game it was. If that wasn't playoff atmosphere-esque hockey, in March, I don't know what is. But whenever Connor McDavid, like you said, whenever McDavid and Matthews are going up head-to-head, I can't even say it's just McDavid and Matthews now. It's like McDavid, Matthews, Draisaitl, Marner, Nylander, and Hyman. They've got everybody in this matchup. So, what a game, Flip. Leafs come out on top. Big 2 points to kind of further the distance away from the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Atlantic Division, but a statement game as well, because just last week they were in Edmonton and they got absolutely embarrassed on the road by Edmonton.
Yes,
so
they did.
That is a good win against the Oilers after a tough loss last week from them. So what were your overall thoughts? I know you were fairly impressed with the Leafs, and before you say anything, I gotta say I absolutely love Noel Acciari. He looks great. He looks fantastic in a Leafs uniform, and he plays great too.
A lot of things that I saw, Steele, a lot of things. And one of the takeaways that I had immediately was Noel Acciari is going to be one of those ads that maybe people didn't focus on in those deals for obvious reasons. That might end up being potentially the most important one if the Leafs manage to go on a playoff run. Acciari's grit and ability to score, which was on display Saturday night, not last night, might be one of those things that isn't. We talk about X factors all the time. That's number one. Number two, I saw a little bit of everything in this game. You saw a little bit of grit. You saw a little bit of, tenacity between the two biggest stars. But one of my fantasy takeaways was, Steele, Evan Bouchard is now producing again. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, he's making the most of his opportunity. And I'm really thinking he's a guy that you have to jump on. That was another thing. And lastly, fantasy-wise, just when Stuart Skinner was really starting to look like he was figuring it out, the Leafs pump him for a bunch of, there's a couple of softies there. That one Tavares turnaround goal, for sure Skinner should have had. So those are some of those fantasy takeaways. But I think at the end of the day, my final one is, and we can move on from this because this was just a quick one you and I wanted to have quickly. It feels like a different Toronto Maple Leafs team because they went down 3-1, and that McDavid goal could have been a dagger. That could have easily been. Matt Murray turns it around. The Leafs' big guns respond. Sheldon Keefe calls out his team on the bench. The old Leafs steal, and we know this well, that could have been 7-2 Oilers easily.
Yep.
So that was my main thing is, and I'm not going to get overexcited in March because we know what it is with this Leafs team. Talk to me on May 1st. But it feels different, Steele, and now it's starting to look different, and the results are starting to be different as well.
That's the one thing that really stuck out to me in this game before we get to waiver wire targets was when they were down 3-1. Typically at that point against the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, whatever team it might be, that's a top tier team in the league. If it's 3-1 after and that quickly and that kind of fashion, I'm usually a little bit down. It's like the Leafs.
Yep.
This is what typical Leafs players do against these top tier teams. This game's over. But now I wasn't feeling like that anymore. I felt confident that the game wasn't out of reach. It wasn't over. We have all these players. The depth players are stepping out as well. So it was a great win against a top tier team in the Western Conference. A confidence boost of a win as well. So great win for the Leafs. Big 2 points to kind of stretch out that distance against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We are going to get to big time bets, but waiver wire targets for this upcoming week flip. I've got two players from the Arizona Coyotes I want to start with. So I'll start there with the Coyotes. Juuso Valimaki and Matias Maccelli are the two guys I'm looking at. Valimaki, 24 years old, rostered at 10% in fantasy leagues right now. Chychrun is gone. Gostisbehere is gone. Valimaki has been the top D defenseman since they both were traded. He was averaging 17 and a half minutes before that. He's now averaging 22 minutes his last 5 games since they've been traded. So he's getting a ton of playing time. He's on the top power play with Keller and Schmaltz, and that power play is no slouch whatsoever, even though it is the Arizona Coyotes. So he's getting a ton of playing time, but even if he doesn't produce a goal or an assist in the game, he's out there with 2 shots, 3 blocks, and 5 hits every night, it seems like, as well. So
bringing the value.
You're getting a ton of peripheral stats more now since Chychrun and Gostisbehere are out of the lineup and, out in the Eastern Conference. And then as well, Matias Maccelli, the rookie, 5% rostered right now, 35 points as a rookie this season. He's got 5 points his last 4 games. And I'm saying these 2 players because the Coyotes have 4 games this upcoming week: St. Louis Blues, Nashville Predators, Colorado Avalanche, and the Minnesota Wild. So a pretty tough schedule for the most part, but the Arizona Coyotes, can shock some of the top tier teams in the league.
I like that, Steele. And I focused this week on schedule as well. And I looked at a couple of teams that were also just scoring. And the first one that jumped off the page to me was the Dallas Stars. And I know we've talked about them a little bit over the last week. But when I look at this schedule, 4 games this week: Kraken, Canucks, Flames, and Oilers. That is another advantageous week for this offensive unit to keep putting up points. And a player that I'm going to look at who is out there in both ESPN and fantasy leagues because of his cold is Mason Marchment. Mason Marchment is now picking up points nicely, Steele. He has 6 points in his last 4 games, including a 3-point night against the Sabres just a couple of games ago. Mason Marchment, for me, looking at that schedule, he's getting to play with Max Domi. He's getting some more looks in the second power play unit. The advantageous week, the good streak, the now influx of Max Domi on his wing, up the middle on the centerman. I'm liking it. I like Max Domi as well as a potential look in deeper formats. I know he's got points in 3 straight games as well. He's picking up more minutes. if you can get yourself a piece of the Dallas Stars, any way you slice it down, Mir Heiskanen is on a heater. I know he's not going to be out there. I'm just saying, Dallas Stars, good week upcoming, and I'm really liking Mason Marchment to have another big week.
I like the Mason Marchment pick because he is playing great right now. I'm not sure about the Dallas Stars. I still think the Seattle Kraken are a team to watch out for, and that when they go up against the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers in a back-to-back situation, I always think that's a tough schedule to put in. But like you're right, the Dallas Stars, that 10-4 outing against the Buffalo Sabres the other day was absolutely an embarrassment to the Sabres. So you also made a good point
too. 4
too
against the Kraken.
Yeah, you made a good. You said that when we were talking about teams that we should watch out for that have a chance. You're like, I have no faith in the Buffalo Sabres. They're just one piece. So you said that last week. Where the Sabres are probably not going to be able to make the playoffs this year. They're one piece away. So kudos to you on that as well. But Mason Marchment, I like that pick. I did pick up Max Domi the other day. So those Dallas Stars on the third line are producing. Two guys that I want to talk about real quickly before we go to break in big time bets. I actually got 4 players, but I'll list them off real quick. Taylor Radish of the Chicago Blackhawks, 3 goals, 4 points in his last 3 games. Blackhawks have 4 games this week: Ottawa, Detroit, Florida, and Tampa Bay. And honestly, Chicago's just been playing a little bit better since they've kind of unloaded a lot of those players before the trade deadline. And I know you're going to be talking about the other guy in this trade, but Jonas Korpisalo of the LA Kings is rostered at 38% right now. 2 games in LA, 2 wins. They take on the Capitals, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Nashville Predators. I could see him getting all 3 of these starts. At least 2 of the 3 will go to Jonas Korpisalo. If Phoenix Copley gets one of them, he gets one of them. But nonetheless, Korpisalo is playing great right now for the LA Kings, and so that's one of the goalies I'd take a look at.
He was on the last 2 weeks of waiver wire ads for me, Steele, and he started out there at 6%, I believe, on ESPN, and I think you said he's already almost up to 40, is what I just heard.
Yeah, 38% right now.
There you go. I have 1 player, 2 goalies left. We'll get there very quickly right after the break, Steele. Why don't you take us there? And we also have big time bets to get to.
We do also have big time bets, but we're filled with all these waiver wire targets. We will let you know who else we're looking at. But this episode is also brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious, healthy treat, then you need to go right now and get some Built Bar. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise the taste, then man, oh man, do I have just the thing for you. You have to try Built right now. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious. You won't think they're good for you, but they're actually the perfect snack before or after the gym. That's when I like to take it. And what makes Built Bar so good? It's covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro peanut butter brownie and coconut almond. Now, you don't even need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. You still can do that, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter and churro. Get some Built Bars and thank me later. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So thank you so much for tuning in. Flip and I appreciate all the love, all the support. Flip, I think you said you have 2 goalies on the waiver wire targets. Who are those goalies? And you have 3 players left?
I have 3 players left, and I'll do it very quickly, Steele, because we always try and keep our episode so you get what you need, all the NHL news and the fantasy breakdowns, and we finish with that single day Monday. I will keep it short, Steele, but these situations that happen when maybe a player who doesn't usually get a ton of great opportunity in the top 6 or on top lines has to fill in because of injuries, because of poor play or whatever. It doesn't matter. You got to jump on it. And this situation with the Colorado Avalanche right now, with Evan Rodrigues getting rushes with Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, Evan Rodrigues is a must-add this week for me. He has 13 goals and 17 assists, I believe, this season. That's what I had written down. Don't hold me to it. 13 goals, 17 assists. Wow, I had that right. Thank you very much, Flip. But that opportunity steal straight up and down, full stop right there. If you need a winger, you need a little offensive punch this week, you need a fill. Colorado has 4 games this week. How about the Red Wings, the Senators, the Canadiens, and then the Leafs? And aside from the Leafs, I would say those are some high-scoring games in due for this Colorado Avalanche team, and Evan Rodrigues is going to get a piece. So that was number 1 for me, and if you're okay, I'll ream off my 2 goalies very quickly.
Yes, sir.
I saw this tweet from Frank Saravalli yesterday, and I had to save it. Please hold with me. It's right here. Since being dumped by the LA Kings, I came on this show and I said, don't give up on John Quick because he is that type of pesky veteran to take this personally and play angry. In 3 games with the Golden Knights, 3-0-0. He's stopped 93 of 98 pucks for a .940 save percentage and a shutout. If you need some goaltending fill, he is playing behind a very balanced Golden Knights team. And just very quickly as well, Steele, before I go to my next goalie, who I think you're going to give me some heat for, but that's okay. 20% owned on ESPN, a little bit higher on Yahoo. John Quick is going to get the run out now in Vegas all the way down the stretch, baby. And who better to fill in for the playoffs for yourself in the fantasy than a veteran guy who's gotten it done before? I would be confident if I have to fill a goaltending hole going with John Quick. And in the same vein, very quickly, but I'm not as fired up about it because he just got pumped for 5 goals. But before that, 3 straight wins for Sergei Bobrovsky and the Florida Panthers. Sergei Bobrovsky's only owned at 60%. I know you personally aren't buying in to the Florida Panthers, but we can both agree the only reason they have been floating up that standings, other than Matthew Tkachuk and the Verhaeghes of the world, has been Bobrovsky. He has been better. And again, if you have to do some emergency shuffling here for fantasy playoffs, ride with these veterans who you know down the stretch aren't going to get rattled. That's where I'm at with that steal. Bobrovsky, Quick, Rodrigues, and the Dallas Stars players. Those are my waiver wire targets. Let's talk bets, baby.
We're gonna talk bets. I do about Jonathan Quick though. That's
hit me with your take.
That's the one thing I have written on here is he's 3-0-0 start. He's a 3-0-0 start with Vegas. He's pissed off and he has something to prove right now. There is a very good chance that we see vintage Jonathan Quick in the postseason, just stretching out the complete splits, making glove saves. And even by then, Logan Thompson, when he comes back, that will be a very deadly duo, in my opinion, in Vegas. So I think everyone should kind of watch out for Vegas right now. I got 2 last players real quick.
Please.
Second last player, Eric Holla, 21% rostered right now, 6 points his last 4 games. 4 games this next week, Toronto, Washington, Montreal, and Carolina. And New Jersey is not making it easy on Carolina. They're 2 points back. They're trying to get the top spot in the Metropolitan Division. Last player, Rasmus Sandin, is 45% rostered on Yahoo right now. He is up 32% from last week alone. He's got 1 goal, 8 points in 4 games with the Washington Capitals so far. That might be the biggest steal of the NHL trade deadline. He's been playing incredible. He's the top D. He's on the top D pairing, top power play unit. Kings, Devils, and Islanders this upcoming week for the Washington Capitals. So if you need some help on the blue line, Rasmus Sandin is out there, but he won't be out there for long because he's playing some great hockey. 23 years old. I'm definitely keeping my eye on him for next year's fantasy draft as well, because it looks like he's a true player in the making. Big time bets though, real quick before we wrap everything up. Flip 3 games on the schedule to start this upcoming week, Monday. And if you don't mind, I'll just list off all 3. We'll just rattle them out there for all our listeners
Please
right now.
do.
3 games on the schedule. First pick, I'm taking the Avalanche on the puck line against the Montreal Canadiens. It didn't hit the other day. You warned me about it, to not take the puck line against the LA Kings. It was a little bit of a spicy take there. Went for it, didn't hit, but I'm going to go with it again. Avalanche on the puck line, Montreal Canadiens. Second pick, I don't think you're going to like this. I'm taking the Kraken on the money line against the Dallas Stars. I think they're the better team. I don't think they have the better goalie, but they've got the better team. They've got the better offense. Tyler Seguin is now out with injury as well. So that third line that I was just hyping up the other day is now discombobbled. So I'm taking the Kraken at home on the money line. And my lock of the night, Maple Leafs on the money line against the Buffalo Sabres.
Yes, sir. The Toronto Maple Leafs we know our allegiances, okay? Sidebar completely. That was a character win by this Toronto
Yeah.
Maple Leafs team on Saturday, one where they responded by being embarrassed in front of that Edmonton Oilers team, just recently. And I think this could be a real galvanizing moment. And I don't use that term very often, but I think this really brings this team together. And we've talked all season long that we think it's Ilya Samsonov's crease. I think this team wants it to be Matt Murray's. I really do. 2 cups in this guy's cupboard. I think that they're going to give both goalies an equal run out down the stretch.
Yeah.
And I don't know who takes the reins, but I can't help but feel they want it to be the veteran Murray, a guy who's been on multiple cup runs. That's just a little sidebar. I am staying away from the money line for the Toronto Maple Leafs just because I didn't see enough value personally, but I'm leaning there all day, 100% not disagreeing with you. But I got to go to our boy number 34 because now I know I hear it all day. Flip, you've said so much about Austin Matthews. You and Steele always talk best goal scorer in the league. Or you guys overdrive and Jeff O'Neill. I get it. He hasn't scored like he has last year. This is the reigning Hart Trophy winner. And no, he is not Connor McDavid. People need to stop comparing these two. They play different games and they're different players. But back-to-back game with goals. He was all over the ice distributing on Saturday. I'm seeing more confidence from 34 in his career against the Buffalo Sabres as well. Before I hit you with this pick, he has 12 goals, 9 assists in 21 games for 20 points. Give me the Austin Matthews anytime goal. That's my first pick. I was going to tangle that with the Leafs on the money line, but I just don't see the value. Dallas at Seattle. Not going to take a winner here, Steele, because I got to throw out an over-under bet. And at first I was like, is this going to be an under? Not feeling it. I think this is going to be high scoring because, like you mentioned, the offense on Seattle, Dallas is putting up crooked numbers on the regular right now. The over has gone over the total in 5 of last 5 games for Dallas. The total has gone over the number in 5 of the last 6 for the Kraken. 4 of those at home for the Kraken of their last 5 over the number, and 10 of the last 12 games between Kraken and Western Conference opponents over the number. I have a bunch more over stats here, Steele, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. This one goes over the total. It's only sitting at 6 right now. At minus 115, that feels like free money. And I'm going to hit you with a parlay pick because the Avs on the money line, and the reason I'm not taking the puck line against Steele, the last 3 wins for the Avs against the Montreal Canadiens, and yes, they have 7 of the last 10, have all been 1-goal games. So I'm a little weary of that puck line. I think the Avs do kind of come out and maybe slap around the Habs a little bit, but I'm going to cop out. I'm going to give you a parlay bet. I don't have the cojones as my co-host does because he's on that Vegas heater. Avs, money line, minus 270. Parlay it with the rest of my picks and thank me later. Or if you are a big bettor, just hammer the Avs. They will not be beat. That's my lock of the night, Steele. Colorado on the money line.
Absolutely love it. I'm definitely parlaying your picks together, man, because I have full trust in your capabilities.
Thank you.
Thank you so much making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. But for your second listen, go check out Game to Game, every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On hosts can deliver. Thank you so much again for tuning in for today's podcast with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.